Hello, my name is Drew, and if we haven't met before, welcome to ReadyBudgetGo. If this isn't your first time visiting my channel, welcome back. I'm glad you're here either way. It's Friday, so it's time for the weekly reel, and this one is going to be quite a confession. It is Prime Day week, and I wasn't really prepared for that to happen in June, but it happened, and I've been spending like a madman. So I'll tell you all about it and how I'm going to pay for all this stuff that's about to hit my doorstep. I will talk about the spending bonanza, but let's start first with the weekly cash. So this pouch holds all the cash that I give myself for the week, and I didn't spend any this week, so it should still have $25 in it. 5, 10, 15, 25, it does. So this money is going to go into this pouch, and next month it will go toward the Treasure Island Pirate Savings Collab. I also need to give myself $25 for next week, even though I'm pretty sure I'm not going to spend it. In July, I'm not giving myself any cash at all. So there's $25 going into the pouch. All right. So easy peasy, cash dump is done. Oops. I apologize. I knocked the camera there. So now let's talk about all of the bills and the income and the spending and all of that good stuff. Okay, so no income came in this week, which is as expected. I get paid twice a month on the 15th and the last day of the month. So this time next week, I will have the other paycheck and hopefully the cell phone reimbursement to report. In terms of bills, I had my last two expected bills come out this week. That was Spectrum, which is my home internet, for $50, and Visible, my cell phone plan, for $35. So I'm not closing this out yet because there could be an unexpected bill in the next week or so. But as far as everything I have been expecting, that's all accounted for. Wallet spending, $247.39, so a little bit over budget this week. I will talk about the detail and what I spent and where coming up here in a little bit. Stockpiles, I put $100 toward my stockpiles sinking funds, and spoiler alert, all that money is about to disappear. But again, we'll cover that in a little bit here. And then savings, $504 that went into the blip fund, and I did make that transfer. So one more deposit from next week, and the blip fund will be fully funded. Once that blip fund is fully funded, and we'll talk about that here in a moment, I will move on to another goal, which I think will be seeding ReadyBudgetGo, and then we'll work on... No, I take that back. The next goal is contributing the full $7,500 to the Roth IRA for the year, and then seeding ReadyBudgetGo. And then I'll work on some of these other stretch goals down here. Okay, so let's get into the spending. Oops. Let's talk about cash flow first. So this is sort of a check register. Everything that comes into and goes out of my checking account. Anything in green is from this week, and we have just the one transaction. I transferred $562.18 into my business checking account. This was a tax refund that I got from the state of Washington for sales tax that I paid on items that I later resold. So because I didn't have a reseller permit, I had to pay the sales tax up front and claim it back at the end of the year. So the state of Washington finally sent me the refund for that. It didn't come into this account, but I sent it out of this account because the account that it went into is not linked to the business checking account, which I just set up. Setting up a new checking account is far more complex than it used to be, especially for business checking. So I have the other account that this deposit went into set up now, but at the time I didn't, and I needed to get it in there before the month ended, so I just transferred it out of checking here. I didn't transfer the money out of checking into the blip fund. I took that from the other account. So everything is kind of square. There is a difference of about $60, but I'm not going to worry about that. Suffice it to say, the $504 did go into the blip fund. The money that I got back from the state of Washington did go into the business account. So that's what matters most. Okay, then let's talk about expenses. Oh boy. So this week, all food expenses, as it has been the entire month, and most of my weekly spending is on food just because I have stockpiles for entertainment. I have stockpiles for household. I have stockpiles for, all of the other kind of incidental things. So mostly what I spend on each week as a variable expense is food. I did do one grocery shop this week from Kroger for about $97. Everything else was restaurants and delivery. I had a couple trips to BB Bop, which is my favorite quick serve restaurant. If you have them near you, I strongly recommend it. They are really good. The portions are large. It's filling. Um, it's clean, right? So clean ingredients. So I'm a fan. We didn't have that in the Pacific Northwest. We had other restaurants that were kind of like that, but not this specific one. But I've been going about every week since I've been in Dayton. So had a couple trips out there. McDonald's for breakfast, $4.89. This would have been $10 if I still lived in the state of Washington. Um, and then the weekly cash for $25. That doesn't get a category because it's cash. So that all totaled up to the $247 and change, so a little bit over this week, but the buffer or the remainder in my budget can cover it. If we go back to that page here, I did have a remainder of 132, so I'm within that. It's okay. All right, so that is it for spending, except I did go a little bit nuts on Prime Day. I have spent over $2,500 so far as I record this on Thursday night, and I'm not done. I looked back through everything that I had bought over the course of this week, the last few days of Prime Day, and there's not really anything that I can say was frivolous. The most frivolous thing is I did buy a new iPad, but mine is getting old. It's an iPad mini. I wanted a little bit bigger screen, and Apple announced that they would be raising prices, and the deals this week are discounts on their existing prices. So I figure I am paying about $150 less than I would had I waited, if not $200 less. So to me, that is a good trade-off. And I will get something back for my iPad mini. I will sell it, so I'm not completely out the money that I paid, but at any rate, most of the other things that I bought on Amazon were things like toilet paper, disinfecting wipes, paper towels, laundry detergent, laundry sanitizer, hand soap, household cleaners, things like that. It wasn't, it wasn't discretionary things. I did buy a new Dutch oven because I need one. I got rid of my my frying pan, skillet, that's what I'm trying to say, from my last apartment during the move. It wasn't worth bringing. So now I have a new Dutch oven from Prime Day that I'll be using. But again, that's just a regular household purchase. It's not, I feel, an indulgence. So the question becomes, how am I going to pay for all this stuff? And the answer is I'm going to take money out of my sinking funds. Now, I almost brought in my sinking funds binder to talk about it in this video, but I remembered that even though I've recorded the rest of my saving videos for June, they're not all posted yet. So you all haven't seen the final Ready Budget Game Monday game night video, and there's also going to be another video that I've already recorded on the sinking fund allocation. So what I'm going to do is I will record another video that talks about all of the money that I'm taking out and starting over, because I also need to resort those sinking funds, or stockpiles as I call them, because some of them aren't really applicable anymore. Others I can combine. So others, the goals have shifted. So I need to have a rethink on that. So I will post a part 1 and a part 2, probably do a back-to-back double feature when I post that video, and that should be out the July 4th weekend at some point. So, okay, enough babbling about that. Let's now talk about savings. So emergency fund is fully funded. We don't need to talk about that. There's been no change there. Blip fund, I haven't filled in more of this tracker yet, but I did make that deposit. So let's record that here with the most satisfying pen in the world. Let me get out my, where is it? There it is. I'm left-handed, so I have to take everything out and then put something solid under it to write on. Okay, so 625 is today. And I'm adding in 504. So that brings me to, let's see, 2,099.49. Okay, so very nearly there. Next week, when I make that final deposit for the Tuesday and Wednesday videos, whatever that saves, that will bring me to a fully funded blip fund. So next week I should have this complete and I should have the tracker complete. And then, like I say, I will be able to move on to other goals, which will be my Sloth IRA or my Roth IRA. Oops, apologies. That was probably all out of frame. So let me show that again. So there's the blip fund tracker. It should be probably about here. I think I would be able to fill in 3 sections, and then 2 more for next week. And then we'll talk about the Sloth IRA. So I haven't touched this since I contributed the $5,000 from the monetization challenge, the subscriber challenge that I did. So this needs another $2,500, and that will be coming out in July. Let's flip back to the goals, as a matter of fact. Okay. So the blip fund will be fully funded next week. Then in July, I will contribute the rest of the money to the Roth IRA. So that takes care of these two. These 2 goals were already done. So that just leaves seeding my business account, which is already somewhat, it's on its way. It's not at 0. And then fully funding the sinking funds, contributing more to my 401k, and stockpiling cash toward my 2027 Roth IRA. So it sounds like a lot, and it is, but I think I've got enough time in the year to meet most, if not all, of these stretch goals. I think contributing the full amount to my 401k, that one might be kind of iffy, but everything else I should be able to do. So we'll see how it goes. But that is all that I have for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. And like I say, look for the sinking fund allocation videos and then really deallocation videos that will be coming out next weekend. And then follow me every Friday to hear how all my goals go for the rest of the year. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and until I see you in the next one, take care.